Welcome back to the channel. This is part one of we don't know how many dirt late model build, probably 4. And right there is a new race car. This is a brand new Warrior Comanche HB race car. This is a frame, deck, and body. Minus the spoiler. What we're going to do with this next little video series is put this race car together, starting right here at a frame, deck, and body. It does have a nose and a bumper and a hood and all that kind of stuff. Look inside the cockpit here. We'll be putting in the suspension. You can see there's nothing in there except for the slugs. The skid is sitting on the Hubco box there. Look under the back of the car. There's no rear end, no transmission, nothing back here. First step will be starting at the front of the car. We'll take the front bumper and nose off and then get to assembly, starting with the steering. And the reason that we're going to start with the steering is that my motor has a pretty big oil pan on it, and we want to make sure that it clears. This car has a twisted motor option, which means here's the oil pan right there. We've already talked about that in previous videos a little bit, which means that the motor's in at a little bit of an angle. That and where Warrior runs the steering shaft in the race car, we might clear without too much fabrication work. So hopefully that's the case. We can get the steering box, steering rack in, get the motor placed in, check that steering shaft to engine clearance issue, and then we can pull the motor back out and continue assembling the car. From there we'll do front suspension, hubs, need to put the radiator and everything in, and then we'll start working our way back. Get my seat mounted. I will be running an SFI Butler seat. It's over there in the corner, so we'll get that mounted in here. This car has the added halo bar right here. It's also a tall cage car. Body's pretty much done. We'll make a couple of adjustments to it just to fit kind of the things that we like to do with our body, and then we'll fit the spoilers. I've got AT21 spoilers. Here's one right here. I've got breakaways, a couple of spares there, so we'll be running AT21 body components there, as well as AT21 body braces. So we've got some of that too to put on. So lots of work ahead. Here's what a brand new late model looks like before it gets put together. Make sure to check out our new Cool Race Car Stuff t-shirts. If you're a fan on our social media pages or the YouTube channel or whatever, you probably know that Cool Race Car Stuff is kind of our tagline. It's become a thing of its own. Now we have official t-shirts. You can check those out. Fletch95.com. Find them there. Different colors, sizes, all good stuff like that. Cool Race Car Stuff. So here's a look at the race car. Right now I have the steering rack mocked in along with the steering shaft. This is the lower shaft, and then the upper shaft, which is this column, runs into the race car here. And so we're going to put this in because our biggest clearance concern, at least today, is with the oil pan clearing the steering shaft right here. Motor plate is just 4 bolts through tabs on the chassis. These are 3/8 bolts to make sure my ratchet's going the right way. That was not ideal. Alright, so I'm just gonna start some of these threads here. I'm not finaling it down. The reason that we're doing this on the bench is just to make sure that everything fits properly and we don't have any clearance issues or anything like that. And I can already see one that we're gonna need to maybe do some modifications in order to fit properly. Then this will come back off.
before we go to set everything in the car. This will come back off. Any adjustments that need to get made, we can do. And then this piece will go in the car. The plate will go in the car before, obviously, dropping the motor in. This was feeling pretty tight, so what I did, just to clean it out a little bit, was I used a thread chaser on it, like this. Use this on it with some Permatex Super Penetrant to clean it, just a little bit there like that. And then you just run this in really gently just to get that nice and cleaned out. Again, sometimes it's helpful to go back and forth a little bit. You should never be flexing when you're using a thread chaser, and then you can see it kind of bottoms out right there, so I'm not going to try to push past it. Alright, so and now we've mock fit this, and the reason that we do that, like I said, is to check clearances, because I'll show you of things like this. You can see right there we've got a hose fitting, and this is just the cap. This isn't even actually, you know, obviously this is not the hose fitting itself, so this problem's only going to get worse when we actually have to plumb the engine. So this plate is going to need to be cut or adjusted or somehow modified in order to fit a fitting right there. We modified our last motor plate as well because of this, so we're going to have to do the same thing. But again, that's why we're going to do this on the bench rather than trying to figure this out when it's, you know, actually going into the car. I can't see the back.
Yep, you got foot, 2 feet, I mean,
Yeah,
10 inches.
Let me get to the other side.
You have to slow down. Yeah.
Alright. Alright, so I'm coming back a few days later because I'm editing the video and I realized that we did not give you an update after getting the motor dropped in with a test fit, and I think we have already mentioned in the video that the whole purpose of doing that was to make sure that the steering rack clears. That was a huge question on everybody's mind, so check it out. The big win of the day, of that first day test fitting the engine, is that the steering rack clears the oil pan. No modifications necessary to this SB 2.2 oil pan like we were worried we would have to make, because the rack clears all by itself.
So the control arm height on the frame is set with the slugs, the camber is set with these shims, and then the caster is set right here with this kind of sliding slug. The control arm can slide fore and aft, and then we can tighten those set screws down where we want it and lock it in place. Building the lower control arms for the race car, these are Warrior authentic parts, and the left and right control arms are different. And when I say building, really all I have to do is install the rod ends and the ball joint. But what I want to do on these control arms is clean these threaded holes out. I want to clean any grime or powder coat out of these holes before I thread that rod end in to the control arm. Using a little Permatex Super Penetrant on my tap. I would use a thread chaser, but I don't have one that's the right size, so we're going to go with the tap. We got to be real careful using a tap on something like this. I'm just going to give the threads a little bit of lubrication. I'm gonna start by just threading it in by hand. The tap is tapered so it can be easy to kind of cross thread it. So that's why I need to go in by hand and get it started. I'm gonna thread it in by hand a good ways. It's starting to get tight right there, so I can feel either powder coat or a little bit of grime or a little bit of leftover debris from machining. So now I'll go ahead and use my tool. Just using a T-handle here, and I'm not going to give it a whole lot of pressure. So I can feel it cleaning out. You could certainly just run the rod end in and let the threads clean it out. But I really want these to be as smooth as possible. Need a jam nut and a rod end. Open that up. I'm going to use a little bit of copper anti-seize. I really like the copper anti-seize. Doesn't gall up. Gives me enough lubrication to get these in nice and smooth. Jam nut on there. As I run the jam nut on the threads on the rod end, it'll kind of spread and coat everything with that copper anti-seize. There we go. Just run this in. Clean our tap again, and we'll go ahead and do the strut. I want to be careful not to run this all the way in and drop it out the threads, because then we'll be in trouble. There we go. Now we're started. Change the angle of my control arm in my vise here. Now we're going to put the ball joint in. Using QA1 ball joints. These are pretty cool because they're adjustable. I'm sure we'll have a video on that at some point. There it is right there. Go back with copper anti-seize. I should not have to put any pressure on this all the way down. If it gets tight at all, that means you're not lined up very well. So it should just run in by hand all the way to the bottom. If you're having to crank it in, you're crossed up a little bit. And these screw-in ball joints, doesn't matter what brand, are a little bit easy to do that with. And then you end up needing a control arm and a ball joint. Now I'll just get a wrench and I'll just give it a little pop. That's it. That's all it needs. Just a little bit. Now we're going to set our strut lengths. Do a little cleanup first. So I'm going to go from the center of the ball joint here, the grease fitting, to the center of my rod end. And I'm just going to kind of get these mocked in, and then we can kind of make our final measurements from there. So this is the right front lower. So I have numbers from Mike at Warrior on what these need to be. Pretty close already. Actually, I think I'm like dead on. That would be wild. Again, this is just a rough measurement. I'm dead on. That's pretty good. And then the strut. A little bit different. Strut's a little bit trickier because he wants that one I'm a little bit off on. Now we'll install it on the race car. Strut goes here, and the leg goes right there. We call the long arm the strut and the short arm the leg. That's what at least that's what I'm going with. The other side's put together, you can see that. Probably going to be a little bit awkward to show putting it on, but I'm going to put it on and I'll show you where I end up. Here's the right front spindle. Now we're going to put that on the race car. This is a TWM component built for Warrior. So we're going to go ahead and install this on the race car. Just going to put a jack stand underneath that control arm to kind of hold it up. Keep the rod end from binding up. That's what's limiting its travel right now. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and put the spindle on. Right now I'm just going finger tight because this is still kind of a mock fit. When we go to final everything, we will tighten everything up. I zip tied my control arm up, my upper control arm up, while I put the lower on because it has a tendency to get in the way. Although it's getting hard to warrant zip tying stuff up out of the way given the price of zip ties right now. And our front suspension is now mocked in. Warrior Authentic parts, TWM upper control arm, TWM made spindles. Really nice stuff. QA1 ball joints.
Thank you so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys enjoyed getting to see kind of our first week of putting this dirt late model together. We're going to continue to make content throughout the rest of the process, continue to film. We're going to do a little bit better job of filming the long form version. We do a short every day, and then we do the long videos as well, or we're trying to, so it's a lot to do while you're also trying to build a race car. So but we're learning, we're getting better at it. We're going to continue to film putting this car together so you guys can be a part of that journey. It's the first time I've ever built a race car from the ground up with Dad and Fletch before, so that's pretty cool for me. And it's our first time as a group building a dirt late model completely from the ground up, essentially. So it's fun, it's stressful, and we're all just really eager to get out to the racetrack. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like, subscribe, leave a comment down below if you want to see the rest of this car get put together. And if you want to see more videos of ours and help support the team a little extra, head over to patreon.com and search Fletcher Wolf Racing. We have a Patreon page over there where we post extra stuff, bonus videos, bonus pictures, more behind the scenes type stuff. So if you want to see that, go check it out. Every single member helps us get up and down the road, and we will catch you on the next one.